Hey folks, welcome to Puzzle Spoilers. Today we're taking a look at the Hanayama Key puzzle. In addition to the solve, I'll be showing you my key collection. This Hanayama puzzle has an interesting history. We can actually find a patent for this puzzle back in 1892 by a person named Herbert Davis. We can find antique examples like this one here that date back to about that era and into the early 1900s. Then in the 1980s, famous Japanese puzzle designer Nobuo Yoshigahara worked with Kawada and Hanayama to produce a mass-produced modern version of the antique versions. The design was picked up by Disney. I have a few examples there. And then in 2006, a slight variation came out called the Key II by Hanayama. I have this version and also a mini version. This puzzle has been copied many times by various companies, legally and I'm sure illegally. I have lots of variations here, so I'm going to go through each one separately. Here we have the standard Hanayama version. This was one of the first cast puzzles released by Hanayama. This was originally released in 1983 by Hanayama, which also went by the name Kawada. Hanayama puzzles have their branding on it. Here we see the Hanayama logo. Here's some instructions I have from another Hanayama puzzle around that same era in the 1980s. And the key puzzle is described as their #1 puzzle. I think some of these were released simultaneously. We can probably consider the key puzzle to be the first, or at least one of the first couple of releases ever by Hanayama. I'll do a video on this Oscar puzzle. It's probably the most rare Hanayama puzzle in existence. When we take a look at this line of original Hanayama releases, these generally are the puzzles that seem to be bootlegged the most. We see a lot of these on eBay and Amazon. I'm guessing perhaps some of the patents or trademarks expired on these puzzles. This is one of my personal favorite puzzles. It's a really simple puzzle, but it's not trivial, and a lot of people struggle with it at the beginning, including myself. But once you know the trick, it doesn't require any memorization, and it's fun to solve over and over again. All right, let me show you how to solve it. The goal of the puzzle is to remove the two intertwined keys. This is the fully assembled state, so the keys are opposite of each other. The first step is to get our bearings here. Both keys are not the same. One of the keys has an opening on the end of its teeth, and the other is completely closed, so it's sort of like a box shape right there. So we're going to keep this key facing towards us for the solve, and then we can let this other key kind of dangle here. The one that we want to keep facing towards us the whole solve, we'll call it key A. That's the key that has this kind of box, fully closed in piece here at the end. And then the other key we'll call key B, and that has an open box at the end. So those can be distinguished by their ends. We're going to move key B into this position, and then we're going to rotate it 180 degrees, and the opening, where the teeth are, is going to pass over this end bit. That's kind of the main trick of the puzzle. That movement is what trips up a lot of people when they try to solve this puzzle at first. So once we're in that position, we can rotate key B back over like that. At this point, we can move key B all the way up to the head of key A, just like that. Then we want to rotate key B again, like that. Now we can pass through the head of key A, just like that. Once we've passed over onto the head of key A, we can rotate all the way around to the other side and come completely off the puzzle, and the puzzle is solved. Let's reassemble the puzzle. Again, we're going to keep key A in this position, and we'll take key B, the one with the opening on the end, and reinsert it onto the head of key A. Once we're back on the head of key A, we can rotate key B all the way around and then off of the head, just like that. Then we're going to rotate key B back towards us. Then we can slide key B all the way down key A to the end until it won't go anymore. Then we'll rotate key B just like this, and then rotate it like that. And then we're basically solved. We can let go of key B, and that is our unsolved position where they're linked back together again. So I have 4 different versions of this size of Hanayama puzzle. I don't collect all finish variations, but I will show you all of the different finishes and how they compare to each other. Here is another kind of more brown version compared to this one. This one's kind of more coppery. This one's also coppery, but it has less of a kind of patina on it. I'm not sure if it's actually a different finish or if this one's just more worn down. And I have this version which doesn't have a Hanayama logo on it. This might be a bootleg version, and the finish on this is different than these other three just slightly. This one is kind of a brown variation with some patina on it. This is an antique version that I have. It's much smaller than the Hanayama version. You can see the size difference there. I don't know exactly who made this or where this comes from, but it seems to be well made. It solves just like the Hanayama version. I'll do a quick solve here. This is sort of a rose gold version that I got from Bits and Pieces. I imagine this one is officially licensed. This one's just slightly bigger than the antique version I have. And it seems this one probably uses the same mold as the Gashapon version, this Keychain Mini version. This one has two separate colors, a gold key and a silver key. Again, this one solves the same. Gashapon is a very popular Japanese toy vending machine. They're still very popular in Japan. Here's the packaging that those little mini keychain versions came in. I have, I think, the complete collection of all the mini Hanayama variations, so I'll be doing videos on all of those, so be sure to subscribe if you're interested in seeing those. And here's the Hanayama micro version. This is the smallest version. They sold these as kind of cell phone straps, and there's a whole series of these as well, which I have. I'll go ahead and do a solve of this micro version. Here's one outside of the packaging. These mini and micro Hanayama examples become dexterity challenges in addition to the regular challenges that they are, just because they're so small and sometimes it's hard to manipulate them. And here we have the Disney officially licensed version. The head of these keys looks like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and the Minnie Mouse has a little red kind of ruby gem there inlaid. And these have Disney laser engraved. The solve on this variation actually is a little bit different. I'll show you here. Once you reach the head of key A, the Mickey version, you need to follow the path of the left ear there. And we go around, and at this point we need to do this kind of rotation upwards, and then we can move key B onto Mickey's right ear and off of his right ear. Then we need to rotate key B back down, and only at that point can we remove the key. So there's a little bit of extra complexity on the last step there. This is a really interesting version. This is from 1989. You could only buy this at Disneyland Tokyo, and we see the Japanese on the back. And this says that the idea was born more than 60 years ago. That would place the birth of the puzzle idea in the 1920s. Based on the patent, I don't think this is correct. This one has a slightly different solve as well. Let's take a look. We've got the Walt Disney Productions logo there with 1989 in Roman numerals. Tokyo Disneyland on the front. And on the other end, we've got Mickey. This is definitely the largest variation I have compared to the regular version. It's a little bit bigger. So once we get to this point in the solve, when we're ready to move key B onto the head of key A, it seems like we wouldn't be able to pass key B over this castle portion, but it actually does pass right over. And then we can solve it as normal. It's not really even a variation, but you might get stuck at that point if you didn't realize you could pass the key over this thicker portion of the castle. This is a Chinese variation. I think this is the same as the Gashapon versions, maybe just rebranded. Finally, in 2006, a variation was designed called Key II. That's Roman numeral 2. We see it engraved there. This was designed by Tomoya Otake and Kaiyu Wang. This solves pretty similarly. I might do another video on this one, but let's do a quick solve here. The beginning portion is exactly the same. So as we start to guide key B around the head of key A here, we're going to get stuck at this point. We wouldn't normally get stuck right there. We need to make this special move, that rotation like that, and then another rotation of key B into this position. One final rotation of key B like this, and we're going to come off of the puzzle like that. So instead of coming off the puzzle along the edge, we actually come off on this center column piece right here where my pointer finger is. And there's also a Gashapon version of key 2. There's a slight dexterity component because it's a little smaller. So that's my key collection. If you have any others that I didn't cover here, please let me know in the comments or send me a message. I'll put a link below to where you can buy this puzzle. It's still sold. If you found the video interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. That's it for today, folks. I'll see you on the next video.